What's good, y'all? Welcome to my first impressions of Falcon and the Winter Soldier. I just watched the episode right now. I just finished it, and if we're gonna compare like the first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier compared to the first two episodes, which was when initially would drop with WandaVision, I would definitely say, without a shadow of a doubt, Falcon and the Winter Soldier definitely had the better first impression. You guys know me. You guys know if you guys checked out my original first impressions of WandaVision, I thought both episodes were good, but nothing really was there to keep you hooked onto the show, besides unless you're like me, who is a big MCU fan, and you're going to stick with it anyway. But like I said in my first impressions of WandaVision, I suspected it was going to be a non-issue. Anyway, by the time this series went on, which evidently it was, it became a non-issue as the series went on, because during pretty much from the third episode onwards when they really started kicking into gear, and what WandaVision was all about, and we discovered what was really going on, was shown off. And then the show just couldn't. Then you know you just were not. You could not be invested in the show. You would just wait a bit for every new episode, see what's happening, see what happens next. With Falcon and the Winter Soldier, I would say did a better job of reintroducing the characters and setting up what are going to be probably the future plot points of this series with each of the main characters, Falcon, Sam Wilson, and Bucky, what they're going to be doing throughout the season, along with whatever their team ups are going to be, and then you got Baron Zemo, who's going to be coming in later on the show, etc., etc., etc. So like I said, this did a much better job, and yeah, man. Without further ado, let's just jump right in. So, as usual, the cast includes for Falcon and the Winter Soldier, of course, includes Sebastian Stan, Anthony Mackie, as well with various other cast members like Daniel Brudel. I have no idea how you say that man's name. The guy that plays Baron Zemo. I don't. Daniel Brudel. I don't know what you're saying. Apero. Adpero Odi. I don't even know how you say these goddamn names. Fucking Mika Ishikawa. Finally, a name I can pronounce anymore. And so, I'm not gonna go really into. So basically, what the plot of the first episode was anyway, was it was. As we know, if you guys did not know, the show takes place 6 months after the events of Endgame, and it's really just what are the characters doing post Endgame before the show, pretty much. What have they been up to? What have they been doing? It's like with Anthony Mackie or with Sam Wilson, he is of course decided that he's not going to pick up the mantle yet. Keyword yet. Because let's be real, by the end of this series, he will become the next Captain America. The fucking Captain America shield's in the goddamn logo. He's going to become Captain America by the end of the series. Let's not kid ourselves right now. Let's not kid ourselves. He's going to pick up the shield eventually. Whether he goes full on and adopts the name Captain America or just carries around the shield, probably readjusts his costume, we'll have to wait and see on that front. But we all know he's going to pick up the mantle eventually. So he's busy just readjusting to life as he's disappeared for 5 years and after Endgame and what he's doing. So we see him. We finally get introduced to some of his family. He has a sister who is kind of like struggling financially. She's like, I don't know what she does. It's like she's like opening like a seafood restaurant or something. She works by this harbor, and she's thinking about selling the ship. That basically has been a part of their family. Their parents' names are on it, and Sam doesn't want them to sell because it's like a connection to their parents. It's their legacy. This and the thing. Now, so that's what's going on with Falcon. Now with Bucky, he's pretty much just kind of chilling, just trying to figure out life after not only the 5-year time skip, but also just post Winter Soldier, and what he's been doing up. So with him, throughout most of the episode when he's on screen, we get introduced to some of the people that he's known in his life recently. Like we have this old Japanese man that he frequently has lunch with, and this this cute little Japanese girl, at least I think she's Japanese, judging by her name, that that the old man actually asked out on a date. He asked her out on a date for him. She accepts him, and end up having the date around the end of the episode. So that was pretty fun. But without a doubt, the highlight of the episode, at least from Bucky, was the therapist. This therapist is the greatest therapist in all cinema. She swears. She straight up calls him out. She says, that's bullshit. She brings out the note. When she brings out the note, starts writing shit down, you know you don't know. Literally, that was probably outside of the opening fight scene with Falcon, where he's like, trying to save like this U.S. soldier. That was without a doubt the highlight of the episode was the stuff with the therapist. It was so fucking funny. I loved it, and I hope we see more of the therapist, not only in this series but in the MCU in general. So that was awesome. That was awesome. But yeah. So first, let me get some of the pros. Pros. I already mentioned before how I mentioned how the show that this episode did a much better job of getting you invested into the series from the start, rather than being like, it's gonna get better as the series goes on, like I did with WandaVision. This show, it gets you invested with the new characters that they introduced, and I really did enjoy the new characters that they did introduce in this series, with Falcon's sister, as well as his two nephews. I really love their characterization. I'm really curious to see more of her sister while she is trying to sell the ship. Sam Wilson is doing everything in his power to keep the ship with the family. He tried to take out a loan, but it doesn't end up working because the time skip and everything, the snap and all that. So I really dug that, and I'm really curious to see how that's going to I guess, continue on throughout the rest of the series on if Falcon's actually going to convince his sister to keep the ship, and they manage to take out a loan or whatever to keep the ship, or will she end up selling it? That's definitely, I'm very curious to see what that is. But Bucky is probably the character I'm most interested in with his stuff, because we see throughout the early, when we get introduced, he has like this nightmare or whatever from one of the missions he did as the Winter Soldier, beat some shit out of people. By the way, the action sequences in both when we got with Bucky as well as Sam Wilson at the start of the episode, both were really done. And I gotta say, the music is another thing that I really dug about this, that I'm really dug from this first episode, and I'm assuming this is going to continue on throughout the rest of the series. But the music was also really good. I really dug the score for this first episode. But yeah, so with Sam, or not Sam, with Bucky, he has this like nightmare scene when he was a Winter Soldier. He wakes up, and then it's when he kind of goes into the therapy session. And he's basically trying to like make amends or do whatever he can now that he's been pardoned for his crimes, and is basically a free man now. There's no more war going on because they took care of Thanos and all that shit. So he's just kind of trying to figure out what he's done with his life, and that's also when we get introduced to these new characters that he is now introducing with this old man, this old Japanese man no, I'm going to keep this more. I'm not going to talk about the old man in particular, what's up with him, and kind of like what he has to offer, and all that stuff. I'll save that. I won't go into too spoiler detail, but I want to keep this video spoiler free as I possibly can. But I really dug what they did with him, and I'm really curious on if whatever happened to him. And how Bucky is going to like maybe try and rectify that or whatever. I'm just really interested to see where that's going to lead, because I thought that was really interesting little plot. Which I'm assuming this is going to be, there's going to be like there's going to be the overall plot with Falcon and Winter Soldier when they team up together to take down Baron Zemo. That's probably going to be the overarching story that's going to be continuing on throughout the rest of the 6-episode series, which I believe that's how long this show is going to be, 6 episodes. While each other character has their own individual arcs and whatever, conflict that they're dealing with by themselves. With Bucky, it's probably going to deal with this old Japanese man and trying to figure out what happened with him. And for Sam, it's probably going to be not only trying to think about whether or not he's going to take on the mantle of Captain America or not, and if he's going to take up the mantle or not, but also him trying to like, I guess, keep the ship and convince his sister not to sell it off. So that's cool. So that's also really, really good. So I'm really curious. So like I said, so Baron Zemo is probably the overarching plot, and while these two things are probably what each of the individual characters of Bucky and Sam are going to be doing by themselves when they're not teaming up to take down Baron Zemo. But if that's the case, I'm very interested, because I was kind of curious if this was just going to be like Bucky, Sam, they're going to just team up and take down Baron Zemo. But I was actually kind of surprised when they actually did go more in detail with these characters and did a little bit more with them rather than just Falcon. He wants his ownership of Captain America, but they team up to take down Baron Zemo. I like that they divulged and gave them all their each individual, like, I guess, conflicts or whatever, something that's probably going to keep them busy throughout the rest of the series when they're not teaming up to take down Baron Zemo, which I like. So that's going to be curious to see if they end up continuing that for the rest of the series with those two like subplots. Like I said before, the action sequences were also fantastic. I really thought the camera work was great. I already mentioned the therapy session. That was probably the highlight of the episode. But as far as negatives, I have to say with this show, at least from this first episode, was the CGI in a couple places. Again, it was kind of like with with Black Panther. You guys remember the CGI in the last section wasn't really the great, especially when they were like falling down and T'Challa and Killmonger were fighting each other while they were fighting before they went down to the actual track or whatever and kept fighting. I think I even mentioned that in my original review for Black Panther, back when it originally came out, that the CGI didn't look the greatest there. There's a couple parts in the first fight scene where it's Falcon going up against these soldiers trying to get this American soldier out, where it doesn't look the greatest. You can kind of tell. And I wasn't really a fan of the when they would cut while Falcon was flying much about with the flight sequence itself, with Falcon flying around trying to get the helicopter and all that shit. That was badass, but I don't think I was a fan when they kind of zoom in on when they cut to just his face. It looks like his. I don't know if that was all a completely CGI model or they like strap on those GoPro cams to his face. It gives that fisheye lens thing kind of thing with his face. But I wasn't really a fan. I thought that looked a little off. But yeah, man. Besides that, I am very much intrigued with this series, from this first episode, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing the rest of the series as it progresses and see where these two subplots with the Japanese man as well as Sam's sister and where that's all going to be. So I'm really excited to see that, man. And yeah, that's all I really got to say, guys. Tell me down below what you guys thought of the first episode of Winter Soldier, Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Did you love it? Did you hate it? Are you excited to see Baron Zemo? Are you excited? Are you more interested in the subplots with Bucky and Sam and what they're doing more than just them taking down Baron Zemo? Tell me down below what you guys thought about that. And overall, I'm gonna give this first episode of Falcon and the Winter Soldier a 9 out of 10, guys. So yep. Anyway, guys. So yeah, like I said before, leave your comments and your thoughts of the episode down in the comment section below. And yeah, man. Hope y'all enjoyed the video. Leave a like if you did. Subscribe if you're new. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter if you feel like it. Links down in the description box below. And as always, come back for more. See you guys next time. You